video title suggests, today we will be talking about becoming consistent and getting back on track. So I'll probably be talking relatively fast because there's a limit on how long your videos can be. So I'm just gonna hop into the video, but before I start, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also like and comment below. But yeah, so I'm just gonna get started. Whenever I'm trying to become consistent or start a new habit, I first ask myself what gets in the way of me being consistent, and also what are some of my setbacks. And after doing self-evaluations a couple times, I realized that I am my own enemy sometimes, and I sometimes get in the way of my own opportunities. So a lot of times I feel as though people don't realize that, we think about the fact that there's other people preventing us or trying to prevent us from being successful or other things, but we don't take a look at ourselves and see that sometimes we block our own opportunities. So that's the first thing. And then another thing I think about is fear of failure and fear of success. And in life, I have experienced both, and most recently was overcoming my fear of failure. As I said in my Get to Know Me video, it took me 3 years to actually start my YouTube channel. I was talking about it for those 3 years, and one hand I was very excited to start, but on the other I was thinking about, what if people don't watch it, or what if I don't have anything to talk about? And eventually I just was like, you know what, I'm going to do it regardless, and the right people will be attracted, and it will be helpful to people. It doesn't matter if it's not a big audience. It's about, in my case, I just want to help people, and it also is a way for me to document my journey as well. So it's very beneficial, and that to me is enough. So another thing is mistakes. I feel as though a lot of times, for example, when we start a new diet or we start to exercise, one cheat day can lead to giving up the whole entire idea. And it's just like, you have to change your mentality. Yeah, you sometimes get off track, but that doesn't mean to stop altogether. So it's important to remember that you're not perfect, and that we're human, and that things come up and sometimes they happen, but the important thing is to keep going on. And that's, for me, the difference between a diet and a lifestyle is, when you're on a diet, it has an expiration date. With the lifestyle, I plan on doing it the rest of my life. So yeah, I'm not going to be perfect throughout that whole entire time. Sometimes I might have slip-ups, but you have to acknowledge those and keep it pushing. You don't beat yourself up because of it. And basically what I'm saying is that every day is a chance to start over. So, don't get too hard on yourself, and remember that it takes time to get to a place where it becomes like second nature. Next is blocking out negativity and negative thoughts, and trying to correct and replace those with positive thoughts. And I feel as though that's also something that takes time, but is very beneficial. For example, if you're trying to do any type of subject and school-wise, it might be challenging, but it's not impossible. And that's how you have to talk to yourself. You don't want to be negative and tell yourself you can't do it, because you can. It's just a matter of practice and putting in hours and putting in the work to do it. And with working out, you don't want to start out very tough or with heavy weights. You want to ease your way into it. You want to start off by walking or cardio. It all depends on what your goals are, but you have to change your mentality when you're going into it. Also, you should set a schedule and try to stick to it. You don't want to cheat yourself. So, it's one thing for things to come up, and it's another to keep coming up with excuses. So for me, I have a daily schedule where, I get up at a certain time, I make my bed, I get dressed, I go to the gym, and then when I get back, I just have time to research. Whenever there is any free time. For me, it's on research for programs. Like I said, I want to go to graduate school or some professional school. And then if I'm not doing that, I'm usually just on YouTube watching videos on how to better myself. I like to do things like that because I feel like there's always room for improvement. So, you should set a schedule, and I feel as though you should prioritize it, because when you do that, it leaves less time for bad habits to creep up or for you to get off track. Keep yourself on a set schedule. But like I said, we are human, things come up, but you don't want to make it a habit of not sticking to your schedule. Next is hold yourself accountable. A lot of times, like I said, you don't want to cheat yourself. So if you know you're not supposed to do something, then you need to acknowledge that, and you need to understand that, and just try to defer yourself from doing that in the future. So you definitely should hold yourself accountable, and you also need to be realistic when you're making your goals. So you don't want to do something that you know for a fact is not, like, you're going to end up like not seeing through, you know. And for me, I try to set achievable goals. So I'll usually have like my long-term goals, but then I'll break it down into shorter goals so that they end up building up to that long-term goal. For me, you know, for example, with my career, I know that's going to take another 5 to 10 years to get to where I want to be, but I'm on a path that's going to lead to that. You know, those are my smaller goals that I've accomplished to get to the much larger goal. And you also need to understand that it takes time to break old habits and form new ones. I've seen a lot of times where you'll have like people who have lived the lifestyle for about like 10, 15 years, and then they try to switch it one day and change it all in one day. And you can't do that, because when you do that, I mean, you could, but chances are that you're not going to stick to it. So you want to typically pick one thing and focus on that. And usually they say it takes about 3 weeks, 21 days for a new habit to form. And then once you see that you're doing good with that one habit, then maybe add on another thing to try to fix or change. You know, you don't want to try to put a whole bunch and be drastic, because chances are you're not going to stick to it. Also, you should tell your goals to a close friend or family member, but make sure that it's somebody who has your best interest. You don't want to be just telling your goals and your dreams to anybody, because I understand that we live in a world where chances are people have already done it, but at the same time, you don't want to just tell people your goals for them to run off and try to copy you. And even if they do copy you, they're not ever going to be you, but you still want to just make sure you have people with your best interest and to keep you on track and to help you stay accountable for what you're trying to get accomplished. Also, don't make promises you can't keep. You know, I've never been the type to be like, I'm going to do something and then I don't do it. Unless, like, there's certain circumstances where, you know, that isn't the case, but it's usually when it comes to careers and like certain fitness goals and stuff like that. Those are the things I can stick with. You know, we'll talk about relationships on another end, where it's kind of like, you know, that's just a lot of times people say they're gonna stop doing something and then they continue to do it. But you know, everything has its time where it needs to be done. And I'm gonna stop rambling now, but we're just gonna, like I said, you don't want to make promises you can't keep. You want to let your yeses be yeses and your nos be no. Trying to turn the page. Next, surround yourself with positive people and a positive atmosphere in which you can be successful. So for me, I surround myself with positive people. I surround myself with people who are going to be supportive. You know, I have other friends who don't necessarily do the same thing, and I've talked to them plenty of times, and it's kind of just like, you know, I usually give them advice of, you know, you have to surround yourself. We're all capable of changing. You may have been at the same point of your friends, but you've grown. And sometimes when you grow, you have to cut off certain people. You have to bring in new people who have those like minds and the same mentality as you. So I feel as though that's important when you're trying to get anywhere or trying to do anything. Also, make sure that the habits you're trying to form are habits that you actually want to do and you care about. So for me, you know, I usually ask myself, why do I want to make these changes? You know, if it comes to like medical career, I usually say, you know, my dad is one of the reasons why I do it, but I also have my own motivations. And I feel as though that's important when you're trying to get anywhere. You don't want to ever do something for somebody else or to get their approval. It should only be for you, and then, you know, the gratitude and acknowledgement comes afterwards from other people. You should just focus on it and be doing something for yourself. Next is set aside a day or two as self-care and cheat days. So it's important to have a balance, because it can be exhausting trying to keep a schedule, trying to do everything within a week. So you want to have some time where you can just take care of yourself, focus on yourself, and maybe even grab a burger and fries if you need to, you know. But for me, I feel like that's very important, and I've taken up yoga and meditation sometimes. I feel as though it's important to send energy inward and to also acknowledge your accomplishments, because no, even if they seem small to you, it's important to acknowledge them because they mean something. And if you don't take the time to acknowledge those accomplishments, sometimes you may even forget why you're doing it, you know. So it's important to acknowledge your accomplishments. And so finally, some tips that I have are to use post-it notes and motivational quotes, goals, reminders, and videos to help you while you're trying and while you're on your path. And for me, I started doing that, I believe, my freshman year, and every year ever since. And even now that I'm going into a new path, I use post-it notes. And before I moved to this apartment, I was in my old one, I had post-it notes all over my wall and just motivation. And whenever, you know, got to be near like finals or near any other type of exams or just a tough time, I would just take time to go to that wall and read the motivations that I had on the post-it notes. And you can put them anywhere else. You can put them on the bathroom mirror, wherever you are a lot, you should put them. And it gives you the extra push to keep going. And motivational videos are another good thing. I used to, like, people used to be like, oh, like, why are you watching motivational videos? And for me, they help. Seeing other people who have been successful, hearing their thought processes helps. So you should do something that helps you and helps you stay on track. For me, that is the motivational videos. And I also like TED Talks too about topics that I'm trying to focus on. So you have to, it's all about finding a balance and understanding that it's a journey and it takes time to get there. I have been on this journey for as long as I can remember, and on and off, and having to start over. Even when it comes to fitness, I've had to start over so many times because either, you know, I got too busy or I got to a certain point where, you know, I wasn't feeling like I was getting anywhere. But the point is that you keep going, you know, and you keep trying. You don't want to give up. That's the most important thing, is to keep going and keep trying. So, you know, I just hope that my tips and my going through my thought process helps someone. Feel free to share the video, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.